What happens when the heir to the throne decides the crown can't be run by the past anymore? When the son of Diana quietly blocks the queen consort's biggest diplomatic move, and the palace realizes this wasn't a mistake, it was a message. In this video, you're going to see how one cancelled trip exposed the deepest fracture inside the royal family, how William and Catherine outplayed Camilla without ever saying a word, how Charles got cornered by his own silence, and how a single leaked document became the proof that the power at Buckingham Palace has already shifted. By the end, you'll understand exactly who is running the monarchy right now, and why Camilla's chapter may already be over. It began as a whisper. The kind of rumor that usually dies in carpeted corridors. Camilla's state visit has been pulled. Not postponed. Not adjusted. Pulled. At first people shrugged it off. Scheduling conflicts. Diary realignment. Senior royals are busy. But this one didn't feel like that. Because the order hadn't come from the king. It had come from Prince William, inside Buckingham Palace. That mattered. A lot. Camilla had spent months building that tour. Every event, every reception, every photo op, every speech planned to reinforce one idea, that she wasn't just the king's wife, she was the crown's steady public face. And with one stroke of a pen, the Prince of Wales shut it down. The official line was dry and forgettable. But everyone inside knew it was fiction. You don't cancel a queen consort's foreign engagement because of timing. You cancel it because you want to show her there are limits. Her staff were livid. In her private rooms, aides paced, whispered, demanded to know who approved this. Some called it disrespectful. Some called it humiliating. A queen consort does not get overruled. Not by her stepson. Not publicly. Not like this. But even the angriest among them could see the truth. This wasn't about logistics. This was William drawing a line. His people described it differently. Strategic realignment. Focus on core priorities. Modernizing the royal calendar. All the right words, all the calm tones. But the subtext was obvious. William was saying, the era of overexposure, competing courts, and mixed messaging is over. From now on, the future of the crown speaks through Kensington. That's why it rattled the palace. Because for the first time since he became Prince of Wales, William openly overrode Camilla. Not Charles. Camilla. And that divided the house in two. On one side, the traditionalists, the ones who had survived the Charles and Camilla wars, the ones who believed hierarchy came before popularity. On the other, the younger, media-smart wing that had aligned itself quietly around William and Catherine. To them, this wasn't an act of disrespect. This was course correction. To Camilla, it was betrayal. When the order reached her, she is said to have gone quiet. Not the performative quiet of a seasoned royal. The cold, controlled silence of someone who understood she'd just been publicly cut down. Hours later, her private secretary was seen leaving Kensington Palace, looking shaken. By then, the story was already leaking. The press had picked up the scent. Why would William cancel his stepmother's trip? Within hours, the headlines had their framing. Power struggle in the palace. William defies the queen consort. Who really runs the monarchy now? Clarence House rushed out a statement talking about unity. Kensington released one about modern leadership. The two didn't match. That only made it worse. And then something even more subtle started to happen. Invitations that would have gone to Camilla began landing with Catherine. Briefings to the media started quoting sources close to the Prince and Princess of Wales, more than royal household insiders. Engagements spotlighting Camilla's role in continuity suddenly looked less urgent than Catherine's work on mental health, early childhood, and community resilience. It was a shift in tone, in temperature, in center of gravity. And everyone who works behind those gates felt it. The crown is shifting, staff said. Half as a joke. Half as a warning. Because here's the part nobody said out loud. For years, Camilla had ruled the quiet spaces. She'd managed Charles's moods, charmed the right editors, kept the worst of the old scandals from resurfacing. She knew how to pull strings without leaving fingerprints. But this time, her control wasn't working. Because she was up against a couple who understood a different kind of power. Not tabloid power. Not 90s power. Algorithm power. Image power. Public trust power. And Catherine? She said nothing. That was the most devastating part. While Camilla's side panicked, Catherine carried on with calm, precise, compassionate engagements. No shade. No leaks. No briefing wars. Just work. That silence infuriated Camilla's camp because it was unbeatable. You can't accuse someone of plotting when they won't even acknowledge the fight. Inside the palace, the mood thickened. Meetings moved from gilded rooms to locked offices. Phones were locked away. Only trusted staff were allowed in sensitive briefings. People began to speak in fragments, not sentences. Not because of scandal, but because of fear. Because no one wanted to be tied to the wrong side of what was clearly becoming a reordering. And then came the spark that turned a quiet power struggle into an open one to a leak. Not to a tabloid. Not to a Royal Watch Instagram. To a small, politically plugged-in blog. Anonymous post. Single screenshot. A state visit itinerary. Paris. Clearly marked as a tour led by Her Majesty the Queen Consort. And under it, in sharp, unmistakable red ink, authorization revoked. That image blew up the palace. Every newsroom in Britain was on it in minutes. TV crawlers lit up. Reporters outside Buckingham and Kensington went live. Palace in crisis. William blocks Camilla. Feud at the top. And suddenly, what had been dismissed as scheduling conflict was exposed as what it really was, a power check. Inside, rage. Camilla's team wanted an immediate internal inquiry. They said it was deliberate sabotage. That William's office wanted to humiliate her. Kensington denied it. Deeply disappointing, they said, that such narratives are being pushed. No one believed anyone, because the detail that unsettled everyone most was the red writing. People who knew William's paperwork style whispered that yes, it looked like him. Others said it was a setup. But it didn't matter. The damage was already public. From there, the palace press operation fractured. Clarence House tried to project unity around the king and queen. Kensington slightly re-emphasized William's role in future-facing leadership. 2 palaces. 2 tones. 1 monarchy. That never works. And here's where it got personal, because this wasn't just Camilla versus William. This was Diana versus the institution. All over again. To people outside, it looked like a turf war. To people inside, it looked like a son finally saying, "The woman who replaced my mother doesn't get to redefine this crown. Not on my watch." That's the piece people forget. For William, everything still sits in his mother's shadow. Every time Camilla is front and center, every time she's described as studying the monarchy, every time history tries to smooth over how she got here, it stings. He doesn't lash out in public. He doesn't give explosive interviews. He does something far more effective. He uses process. Calendars. Who leads what? Who speaks for the crown? That's how he fights. Catherine understood that better than anyone. She didn't compete with Camilla. She outlasted her. While Camilla's team fumed and briefed, Catherine smiled, listened, met schoolchildren, comforted grieving families, sat with nurses. She did the one thing Camilla could never fully do. She made the monarchy feel warm, and because the public still misses Diana's warmth, they responded. The papers responded. Foreign media responded. The words started appearing again. The People's Princess reborn. Diana's legacy continued through Catherine. Not rebellion. Not chaos. Not tell-all interviews. Just dignity. That's when Camilla panicked, because if you're Camilla, this is your nightmare. You spent decades clawing your way from homewrecker to accepted royal spouse. You finally get the crown. You finally get decent press. You finally aren't the villain. And then, William and Catherine happen. And suddenly the public isn't talking about your charities. They're talking about the woman who married Diana's son and didn't make a single misstep, as Camilla did what she knows how to do. She went to the press. First it was subtle. Stories questioning whether Catherine was taking on too much. Headlines suggesting she was looking tired. Whisper pieces about pressure behind the scenes. Then it escalated. Is the Princess of Wales struggling with the demands of royal life? Are William and Catherine under strain? Sources suggest tension behind the scenes. None of it could be directly tied to Camilla. That's how these games are played.